Have you ever noticed this? No matter how hard you work, no matter how much you earn, money comes into your life and silently disappears. You don't know where it went. You don't know why it never stays. And slowly, you start blaming luck, destiny, or even God. But Buddhism teaches something far more uncomfortable. The Buddha never said money is evil. What he warned us about is where we keep it. Because money is not just paper. It is energy. And when you place that energy in the wrong places, it leaks, it rots, it attracts suffering. Look around you. People earning less than you are peaceful. People earning more than you are still anxious. Why? Because wealth is not lost in banks or wallets. It is lost in invisible places inside the mind and life. In this video, I will reveal the places where money should never stay, according to deep Buddhist wisdom, places that silently destroy your wealth, your peace, and your karma. If you've ever felt stuck financially, if money never stays with you, if you want abundance without losing your soul, this video is not optional. It is necessary. Before we begin, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay till the end because the last point is the one most people ignore, and it keeps them poor for life. Now listen carefully. 1. Never keep money in ego. Buddhism teaches that ego is endless hunger, a fire that is never satisfied. No matter how much you feed it, it asks for more attention, more validation, more proof that you matter. And when money enters this fire, it doesn't warm you, it burns you. Look closely at how people spend money today. Not to live better, but to look better. Not to feel peace, but to silence insecurity. A phone bought not because the old one stopped working, but because someone else upgraded. A car chosen not for comfort, but for status. Clothes worn once, just to be seen. Trips taken not for rest, but for photos. This is money trapped inside ego. The Buddha warned that the craving for recognition is a bottomless pit. The more you receive, the more you need. When money becomes a tool to prove worth, it stops being nourishment and becomes poison. You are no longer spending, you are compensating. And the most dangerous part, you don't even realize it's happening. Ego disguises itself as success. It whispers, "You deserve this." It convinces you that applause equals value. But inside, something strange happens. The moment the attention fades, the joy disappears. The moment someone else has more, the satisfaction dies. The moment you are not seen, you feel invisible again. This is why people who earn more often feel poorer inside. In Buddhist psychology, ego is called ahamkara, the false self. It survives only through comparison. And money placed in comparison will never multiply because it is constantly leaking through insecurity. You can see this clearly in real life. There are people who earn modestly, yet sleep peacefully. And there are people drowning in wealth, yet restless, anxious, always needing more. Why? Because one uses money as a tool. The other uses money as an identity. When money becomes identity, every expense becomes a performance. You are no longer asking, "Do I need this?" You are asking, "What will people think?" This is spiritual poverty wearing expensive clothes. The Buddha taught non-attachment, not because possessions are evil, but because attachment makes you their prisoner. The moment your self-worth depends on what you own, you are no longer free. You are owned. Ego-driven money creates a silent cycle. Spend, impress, temporary, high emptiness, spend again. And this cycle never ends. Even worse, ego isolates you. You stop enjoying simple things. You stop feeling grateful. You stop being present. You start living for an audience that doesn't truly care. That's why Buddhism says true wealth grows in humility. Humility doesn't mean having less. It means needing less to feel whole. When money is guided by humility, you spend consciously. You invest wisely. You give without announcing it. You enjoy without comparing. And suddenly, something changes. Money starts staying. Peace starts returning. Life feels lighter. Because money placed in humility is no longer trying to prove anything. It is simply serving life. Remember this deeply. Ego wants to be seen. Wisdom wants to be free. And money placed in ego will always disappear, because ego itself is empty. But money placed in awareness, simplicity, and humility becomes abundance, not just in your bank account, but in your soul. Let this sink in. Sometimes, the reason money doesn't stay in your life is not because you earn too little, but because ego is eating it alive. 2. Never keep money in fear. Fear does not shout. It whispers. It sits quietly in the background of your mind and says, "What if it's not enough? What if something goes wrong? What if you lose it all?" And slowly, without realizing it, fear begins to control your relationship with money. Buddhism teaches impermanence, Unethical. Nothing stays forever. Not joy, not pain, not wealth, not loss. But fear refuses to accept this truth. Fear tries to freeze life. It wants certainty in a world that is constantly changing. When money is kept in fear, it doesn't feel like security. It feels like a cage. You start hoarding, saving not from wisdom, but from panic, holding not from clarity, but from distrust in life. And the strange thing is, the more you cling, the more anxious you become. Look at real life. There are people who have enough money to survive for years, yet still check their bank balance every hour. Their heart races over small expenses. They feel guilty for resting. They cannot enjoy a meal without calculating its cost in their head. This is not financial discipline. This is fear disguised as responsibility. The Buddha warned that clinging is the root of suffering, and money, when clung to in fear, becomes a source of endless tension. Fear makes you over-control money. You try to predict every future problem. You obsess over worst-case scenarios. You mistrust opportunities because they feel risky. But life is risk. Impermanence does not mean loss. It means movement. Money, like life, needs movement to breathe. Fear stops that movement. And when money stops flowing, it begins to rot emotionally and mentally. You lose peace before you lose money. Your sleep suffers. Your relationships suffer. Your body stays tense, always preparing for disaster that may never come. This is why Buddhism teaches equanimity, calm balance. A calm mind sees money clearly. A fearful mind sees danger everywhere. And here is the cruel irony. Fear attracts loss. When you act from fear, you make rushed decisions. You miss opportunities. You settle for less. You block growth, not because the world is against you, but because fear narrows your vision. Many people lost money not because they were careless, but because fear made them freeze when they needed clarity. Fear tells you to hold tighter, but the tighter you hold, the more fragile everything becomes. Think of sand in your hand. Hold it gently, it stays. Clench your fist, it slips away. The Buddha taught that peace does not come from controlling life, but from trusting awareness within it. Money flows where the mind is calm. Calm does not mean reckless. Calm means grounded, present, mindful. A calm mind plans without panic. A calm mind saves without obsession. A calm mind spends without guilt. Fear steals all of that. And the saddest part? Fear robs you of the present moment. You sacrifice today for a tomorrow that may never arrive. You delay joy. You delay rest. You delay life. Buddhism does not teach you to abandon money. It teaches you to abandon fear, because fear makes you poor even when you are rich. Remember this deeply. Money can be lost, but peace lost to fear is never returned easily. Let money pass through your life with awareness, not anxiety, with trust, not tension, with calm, not clinging, because money does not stay where fear lives, but it flows naturally toward a mind at peace. And when your mind is calm, even little becomes enough. Let that truth settle into your bones. 3. Never keep money in addiction and instant pleasure. The Buddha spoke clearly and without softness about this truth. Pleasure that is chased without awareness becomes suffering in disguise. Not all pleasure is wrong, but mindless pleasure, pleasure used to escape pain, slowly destroys both peace and wealth. Look honestly at how many people spend money today. Not because they are happy, but because they are numb. Money disappears late at night on things no one needed. Food ordered not from hunger, but from loneliness. Alcohol poured not for celebration, but for silence. Shopping carts filled not with necessities, but with emotions. This is not enjoyment. This is escape. Buddhism calls this tanha, destructive desire, the thirst that cannot be quenched. The Buddha taught that tanha is born when we try to fill inner pain with outer pleasure, and money becomes the fastest fuel for that fire. At first, it feels harmless. Just one drink, just one purchase, just one reward. But tanha never asks for one. It asks for again. The moment the pleasure fades, emptiness returns stronger. So you spend again, consume again, escape again. And slowly, money stops being a tool for life. It becomes a tool for avoidance. Real-life examples are everywhere. A person stressed from work spends impulsively on weekends, only to feel guilt on Monday. Someone scrolling endlessly, buying things they forget they even ordered. Someone addicted to small highs, food, substances, entertainment, because silence feels unbearable. This is the most dangerous addiction, emotional spending, because no one calls it addiction. But Buddhism sees it clearly. The Buddha said suffering is not caused by pain. It is caused by attachment to pleasure. When money is placed in instant pleasure, it never brings fulfillment. It only increases craving. More craving means more emptiness. More emptiness means more suffering. And this cycle has no natural end. Pleasure bought with money gives a quick dopamine hit, but leaves behind exhaustion, regret, and self-disgust. You don't feel richer. You feel weaker. This is why people say, "I don't know where my money goes." It didn't go anywhere. It was burned. Money placed in unconscious pleasure is money thrown into fire, and fire is never satisfied. The Buddha taught right enjoyment pleasure with awareness, eating with presence, resting with intention, spending with clarity. But tanha rejects awareness. It wants fast relief, not healing. It wants distraction, not peace. And the most painful part? Every time you escape pain with pleasure, you train your mind to fear silence. So when the pleasure stops, the pain feels worse than before. That's why addictions grow. Not because the pleasure increases, but because your tolerance for pain disappears. Money cannot save you here. Only awareness can. When money is spent consciously, it supports life. When money is spent unconsciously, it feeds suffering. Buddhism teaches that freedom comes not from satisfying desire, but from seeing through it. When you pause before spending and ask, "What am I really trying to escape right now?" something powerful happens. The craving weakens. The fire cools. The money stays. And more importantly, your dignity returns. Remember this truth deeply. Pleasure is not the enemy. Unconscious pleasure is. Money spent to numb pain will always demand more and give less. But money guided by awareness creates stability, peace, and strength. Because the moment you stop using money to run from yourself, you stop burning your life away, one purchase at a time. Let that realization stay with you. Some losses don't show on a bank statement. They show in the soul. And Buddhism exists to wake you before the fire consumes everything. 4. Never keep money in toxic relationships. This truth hurts because it involves people you care about, people you trusted, people you helped, people you thought would never drain you. But Buddhism does not protect illusions. It protects awareness. And one of the most painful awakenings in life is realizing this. Some relationships don't just drain your energy, they quietly destroy your wealth, your peace, and your future. Money cannot survive where respect is absent. If money stays where you are constantly used, drained, manipulated, guilt-tripped, emotionally blackmailed, it will always disappear. Not suddenly, but slowly, silently, painfully. Look at real life. There are people who only call when they need something. People who praise you when you give and disappear when you stop. People who make you feel selfish for having boundaries. People who turn your generosity into obligation. And the most dangerous ones? Those who convince you that love must be paid for. You pay to keep peace. You pay to avoid arguments. You pay to feel accepted. You pay to feel needed. This is not love. This is transaction disguised as affection. The Buddha taught right association, because who you keep close shapes your destiny more than your effort ever will. You can work hard, earn well, plan carefully, but if your money stays in toxic relationships, it will never stay with you. Why? Because toxicity has no limit. It does not say, "This is enough." It says, "You've done it before, do it again." And every time you give to avoid discomfort, you teach people how to use you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Some people don't want you. They want what you provide. And money spent trying to buy loyalty, love, or acceptance is money that will never bring peace. Buddhism teaches that attachment to people who harm your balance is just another form of clinging. You cling because you fear losing them. You fear being alone. You fear being seen as heartless. So you keep giving, and slowly, something breaks inside you. You feel resentment, but suppress it. You feel exhaustion, but hide it. You feel anger, but call it patience. And money becomes the silent sacrifice. The Buddha warned that compassion without wisdom becomes self-destruction. True compassion includes boundaries. Money cannot survive in relationships where your no is punished. Your kindness is expected. Your value is measured by what you give. In such places, money does not serve growth. It feeds dependency. And dependency is a black hole. There is a reason why some people feel financially lighter. The moment they distance themselves from certain relationships, it's not magic. It's relief. Relief from emotional pressure. Relief from guilt-based spending. Relief from proving worth. When money is no longer used to manage other people's emotions, it finally finds stability. The Buddha taught that peace begins the moment you stop feeding what harms you, and sometimes what harms you has a familiar face. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming clear about who respects you, clear about who drains you, clear about where your energy and money truly belongs. Remember this deeply. Money cannot grow where gratitude is missing. Money cannot stay where respect is absent. Money cannot survive where love is conditional. When you stop placing money in toxic relationships, you don't just protect your wealth, you reclaim your dignity. And that, according to Buddhism, is the beginning of true abundance. Let that truth sit with you. Sometimes, the reason money never stays in your life is not because you lack discipline, but because you keep trying to buy peace from people who never intended to give it. And the moment you stop paying that price, your life begins to breathe again. 5. Never keep money in comparison. Comparison is the quietest form of poverty. It doesn't scream. It doesn't announce itself. It simply sits beside you and whispers, "It's not enough. You could be earning more than you ever did before and still feel behind. You could be progressing faster than you once dreamed and still feel small." This is not lack of money. This is lack of contentment. Buddhism teaches that suffering does not come from having less. It comes from wanting what others have. The moment you measure your life against someone else's, your peace collapses. Look at real life today. You open your phone and see someone else's success. A better car, a bigger house, a more luxurious vacation, a life edited to look perfect. And suddenly, your own life, which was fine a moment ago, feels incomplete. Your income feels small. Your effort feels invisible. Your journey feels slow. Nothing changed, except your comparison. This is how comparison steals wealth before it even reaches you. The Buddha taught contentment, santuti, as the foundation of abundance, because contentment turns what you have into enough. Comparison does the opposite. It turns enough into nothing. When money is kept in comparison, spending becomes reactive. You don't spend because you need. You spend because you feel left behind. You upgrade not for improvement, but to catch up. You stretch beyond comfort, not for growth, but to match someone else's highlight reel. This is financial self-harm disguised as ambition, and comparison is never satisfied. There will always be someone richer, someone faster, someone ahead. So the hunger never ends. Gratitude disappears quietly. You stop appreciating what your money provides: stability, safety, freedom. Instead, you see only what it doesn't give you. This is why Buddhism warns that comparison poisons the mind. Because money grows where gratitude lives. A grateful mind spends wisely, saves calmly, invests patiently. A comparing mind rushes, overextends, feels ashamed of rest, and shame is expensive. People don't realize how much money they lose trying to silence the feeling of being less, buying things to feel equal, working beyond burnout to feel worthy, taking risks not from clarity but from envy. This is silent suffering. You can see it clearly in everyday life. Two people earning the same amount, one feels rich, the other feels poor. Why? One compares upward endlessly. The other measures life inwardly. The Buddha taught that peace comes from knowing your own path, your timing, your pace, your season. Comparison ignores all of that. It forces you to live someone else's life with your own resources, and that will always feel insufficient. Comparison kills joy first, and then it kills wealth. Because when joy dies, money becomes compensation. You buy not to enhance life, but to cover dissatisfaction. And dissatisfaction has no price limit. The moment you step out of comparison, something shifts. Your money feels lighter. Your choices feel clearer. Your progress feels real. You stop chasing symbols and start building stability. This is why Buddhism doesn't glorify wealth. It glorifies clarity. Clarity frees you from comparison, and freedom is the greatest wealth there is. Remember this deeply. You are not poor because others have more. You become poor the moment you forget what you already have. Money placed in comparison will always disappear, because comparison itself has no end. But money placed in gratitude stays, grows, and supports life. And the day you stop measuring your worth against others, your wealth finally begins to feel like wealth. Let that truth sink into you. Sometimes, abundance doesn't begin with earning more. It begins with comparing less. 6. Never keep money in neglect. Neglect looks harmless. It doesn't feel greedy. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't even feel like a mistake. But Buddhism teaches something most people never realize. Ignoring money is also attachment, just the opposite side of obsession. One clings tightly, the other looks away, and both lose. The Buddha taught mindfulness in all things, not just in meditation, not just in suffering, but in the ordinary movements of life. Eating, walking, speaking, spending. When money is excluded from mindfulness, it begins to leak silently. Look at real life. People who say, "I don't care about money." People who never check where it goes. People who feel uncomfortable looking at numbers. People who hope everything will somehow work out. This is not detachment. This is avoidance. Money doesn't disappear loudly when neglected. It leaves quietly. Small subscriptions you forgot. Tiny daily expenses you don't notice. Late fees that feel insignificant. Unplanned spending that slowly becomes a habit. None of it feels dangerous, until one day you realize you're always short, and you don't know why. The Buddha warned that lack of awareness creates suffering, not because life is cruel, but because inattention invites chaos. When you don't track money, it loses form. When you don't plan, it loses direction. When you don't respect your earnings, it loses value. And money without value never stays. Neglect often comes from emotional discomfort. Looking at money forces honesty. It shows habits you don't want to face. It reveals patterns you'd rather ignore. So, you avoid it. But avoidance is not peace. In Buddhism, true detachment comes from clear seeing, not turning away. Mindfulness doesn't mean controlling every rupee. It means being present with it, knowing what comes in, knowing what goes out, knowing why. A mindful relationship with money feels calm. A neglected relationship feels vague, anxious, unstable. And here's the painful part. Many people work extremely hard, only to lose money because they never gave it attention. They respect the effort, but not the result. They respect earning, but not managing. This creates silent frustration. You feel tired, yet nothing builds. You feel responsible, yet nothing grows. Buddhism teaches that what you ignore controls you. Neglect hands power to randomness, and randomness has no loyalty. Mindfulness invites stability. When money is handled with awareness, you spend intentionally. You save without stress. You plan without fear. You adjust without panic. Nothing dramatic, just steady. And steadiness is powerful. The Buddha taught that small actions repeated with awareness shape destiny more than big gestures done unconsciously. The same applies to money. Small mindful choices build stability. Small neglected choices create collapse. And the collapse is slow, which makes it more dangerous. Remember this truth. Money does not ask for obsession. It asks for attention. Attention is respect. Respect creates order. Order creates peace. When you stop neglecting money, you don't become materialistic. You become grounded. And grounding is not against spirituality. It is part of it. Because a calm, stable life supports awareness. And awareness supports freedom. So if money keeps slipping away from your life, don't ask how much you earn. Ask this instead. Do I even pay attention? Because money cannot stay where it is unseen. And the moment you bring mindfulness to it, stability quietly walks in. 7. Never keep money in unethical paths. The Buddha was very clear about this. How money is earned matters more than how much is earned. This teaching is called right livelihood. And it exists because money carries more than value. It carries karma. Money earned by harming others, deceiving them, exploiting weakness, or destroying peace may look powerful on the surface, but underneath, it always carries suffering. Sometimes the suffering comes later. Sometimes it comes silently. But it always comes. Look at real life carefully. There are people who earn fast money suddenly, dramatically. They rise quickly. They show confidence. They look untouchable. But watch closely. Their sleep is shallow. Their mind is restless. Their relationships are unstable. Their peace is missing. Because money earned through unethical paths does not feel safe, even to the person holding it. The Buddha taught that when livelihood causes harm, the mind can never rest. You may silence guilt for a while. You may justify it. You may say, everyone does it. But the nervous system knows the truth. Money earned through deception creates constant fear of exposure. Money earned through exploitation creates emotional numbness. Money earned by harming others creates inner violence. And inner violence never stays contained. It leaks into health, into family, into decisions, into destiny. This is why the Buddha said wealth without ethics always ends in loss. Not always financial loss. Sometimes the loss is far worse. Loss of trust, loss of peace, loss of self-respect, loss of meaning. You can see this everywhere. Businesses built on lies eventually collapse or rot from inside. Careers grown by stepping on others create enemies everywhere. Money earned by destroying peace invites chaos back into life. It may come fast, but it leaves faster. Because unethical money has no roots. It cannot settle. It must keep moving, escaping, hiding, compensating. The mind holding it is never calm, and money cannot stay where the mind is restless. Buddhism teaches that suffering is not punishment, it is consequence. When your livelihood harms life, your life becomes tense. Even if the bank balance grows, the heart shrinks. And the most painful truth? Many people know this, but ignore it because the money feels necessary. But the Buddha never promised comfort. He promised clarity, and clarity demands courage. Right livelihood does not mean poverty. It means earning in a way that does not poison your mind. Money earned ethically feels different. It feels slower, but it sleeps better. It feels lighter, but it lasts longer. It feels quieter, but it builds stability. Ethical money does not need constant justification. It does not need to be hidden. It does not need to be defended. It sits peacefully. This is why some people earn less but live with dignity, calm, and steady growth. And some earn more but live in fear, arrogance, and constant pressure. The Buddha taught that peace is the real profit, and anything that destroys peace is already a loss, even if it looks like gain. Remember this deeply. Money that harms others will eventually harm you. Money that destroys peace will eventually destroy stability. Money without ethics always collects a debt, and karma always collects. So, if money ever asks you to betray your values, to silence your conscience, to hurt others, to win, know this: that money is already leaving. It just hasn't told you yet. Because true wealth, according to Buddhism, is not what you accumulate. It is what you can live with peacefully. And only ethical money allows you to rest without fear. Let that truth stay with you. Some doors open fast, but lead straight into darkness. Choose the path that lets your money stay and lets your soul breathe. As we conclude, the Buddha never asked you to reject money. He asked you to place it wisely. Money placed in awareness, compassion, discipline, ethics, gratitude becomes abundance with peace. Remember this: it's not how much you earn, it's where your money lives. If this message reached your soul, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I choose mindful wealth," because the moment you change where your money stays, your entire life begins to change.